I'm Samuel Hahn with Spotlight Forney's This Extraordinary Life. And with our first episode, I'm introducing my good friend, actor and author, Van Quattro. Van, I met you on the set of Patient Zero. I was the director of photography. It was my first feature film. You're an incredible actor, man. Let's talk about your early days.
Well, I always felt that I had, there was something wrong with me, and that I needed to express on another level. It didn't help from the household I came from, but that thing, that something wrong with me was the acting bug. But I didn't explore that until I was around 19, 20 years old, when a friend of mine said, hey, you should be an actor based on our escapades, partying and things like that. And so what I did is I took a class at a junior college in Glendale, California, and I started doing some theater, and I was immediately put into a play that required verse, which I had no clue about. And it sort of took off from there. I started doing dinner theater, and then I pursued agents, and I did a million headshots, a million interviews with agents. And it just, Perseverance got me to where I am today. There were certainly many opportunities to go, you know what, this isn't easy. It's not an easy occupation.
And so from leading on to that, you went into feature films, more film work out of LA, or?
My first big job, I booked a guest starring role. This is on,
Was Picket Fences or?
Remington Steele. And it was an episode where we shot in Las Vegas. And I remember I got to go to Vegas for the week. And I worked with Pierce Brosnan, and he said that I punched him a little bit too hard in a fight scene. But that was my first big job. The one prior to that was a movie called 315 that they shot in Los Angeles. That's the one that got me my SAG card. But the one that sort of put me on the studios, on the lot at the studios, was Remington Steele.
As far as like character preparing and looking at some like films that you did before, let's say like Fight Club or End of Days, like how did you prepare for that mentally?
You're a genius, sir.
You said if anyone ever interferes with Project Mayhem, even you, we gotta get his balls.
It's useless to fight. It's really.
When they say action, you take a chance. That's it. You just take a chance. You roll with it. And I decided, well, this scene here, I wanted to go with something that was might create a little bit of a hypnotic state around these people that have been affected by the Fight Club. So, I wanted it as sort of a Stepford Cops type of thing. So that's how I played it. Like, you told us you would say that, sir. That sort of like, that sort of thing. And Fincher was like, yeah, man, that's great. I like that. And all the other actors in the room picked up on that too. So we were all sort of in that, you told us you would do this, and all that stuff. And it was great. It was fun. But it's about having your idea and then running with it. And really, you have to take chances. You just have to take chances. And chances are based on knowledge and experience. And that's why I experience life. Love Lucky was about the time in my life, actually right after John Lennon's death, just a few months after John Lennon's death, when I sold everything I had and moved to London. I ended up meeting Ava Gardner. Ava Gardner, for those that you don't know, was a major film star in the 30s, 40s, 50s. And she was considered like the most beautiful woman in the world. She hung out with Hemingway, she hung out with Howard Hughes. She was, Frank Sinatra. And so we hung out a little bit, and I met a woman named Jill Bennett, who was an actress there, and she had been married to John Osborne, the playwright. So all of a sudden I was in this company of people, and I was just this runt, and I say runt, kid from a very lower working class family in Glendale, California, and I'm finding myself in this environment. Well, a lot of alcohol, a lot of partying, and a lot of missteps. And I don't say this with glee, but it's all part of my history and my past. But I tell on myself in these things. I don't tell on anybody else. If I happen to be with somebody when I'm doing something really stupid, their names are mentioned just simply because they're with me. But I tell on myself, and I tell on myself for a couple of reasons. Somebody said, well, is this sort of a purging for you? Is it? And I said, no, not really, because I've been through so much therapy. I mean, imagine that there's some purging quality to it. Mm-hmm. But essentially, I wanted to say, I'm going to tell you every little thing about what happened in my life. Because if you have shame around any of these things, just know you can keep going.
Right.
And you can keep going with a sense of humor. I mean, there's a scene in Love Lucky where I tried to commit suicide and I fall down 2 steps of stairs and I'm lying on the floor and the woman I'm dating, her dogs are licking me and she's at some charity event. The dogs are licking my face and I get up and I'm trying to pray and my pants are halfway down because they fell down going down the stairs and my butt's facing the sky and I'm praying down with my head in the ground. And I have no shame around. Oh, I know why. Because I used suppositories to try to kill myself, like 4 major sleeping pills. Now, okay, we're laughing, right? I'm here.
No, I know. And I don't mean to make light of it either, man. I have no idea. I know how strong you are.
It is light, but I'm just saying there are these moments where I have no more shame around them.
Well, those moments are relatable too. And I think that's maybe why I was kind of chuckling. I mean, I'm not the same situation, but it's content that even though it's personal to you, it can definitely, people can read that and find their connection. Yes. And I'm not Mother Teresa, but if you could find a way to shed some light on your deepest and darkest shames, your deepest and darkest secrets, that can relieve somebody else and they can get a chuckle out of it, hey, it's great. Why not? And I tell on myself for 3 books, Love Lucky, and then the second one where I got married in Hollywood and the girl had been married to a famous director. She knew famous people around Hollywood and it was about my trying to learn how to be in a marriage, which I had no clue about. And then the last one is when I went salmon fishing up in Alaska as a young man, and I made a bunch of money. And it's about the adventures of trying to get on a fishing boat and getting that job and being out in the seas and coming home with a lot of money and not knowing what to do with it. So where do you go? You go straight to the drug dealers. And overcoming that as well. I mean, it's all about survival. It's about overcoming and learning. Yeah.
And I took a lot of missteps in my life. I skinned my knees, 10 times a day, but I kept getting up because there was something inside of me that said, you need to keep going because what you're looking for is out there. And I had this strong desire to be a part of creation and love and all those things. I just didn't know how to do it.
Let's talk about, what about your recent book, the one you're still writing?
Yeah, it's called Eve. It's based on my mother when she was a child as an orphan in New York. It has to do with child sexual abuse, kidnapping for labor. It has to do with religion, it has to do with faith, has to do with hope, has to do with World War II and the atom bomb. How's that?
Fascinating.
There's a few things in there to think about.
Obviously, that one's still in production because it's still.
Yes, I'm doing I'm doing some final tweaks on it. You know, it's different for me because it is a novel. Mm-hmm. My first 3 books were autobiographical, almost to the word. And people say, well, how did you remember all that stuff? And I said, because I was there. Of course I remembered it. I did it.
For anybody,
this one.
No, keep going, brother. Keep going.
Yeah, but this one is different. It's a novel. And so it feels a little uncomfortable for me, and I'm still tweaking and trying to find it. But I think I've got something that people could like. Yeah.
If somebody was to come up and want to read the books for the first time and knowing the ways you can go, would you want to give them any kind of a warning ahead of time?
Yeah. Be prepared to know maybe more than you wanted to.
Yep.
That could be good or bad.
Your first 3 books, because obviously the other one's still in the process, where can they find them online to buy them?
Oh, they're all on Amazon.com. Love Lucky, Amazon.com. When We Get Married is the second one, Amazon, and Sockeye, which is reference to a salmon, salmon fish, is also on Amazon.com. And Eve, I'm hoping to get Eve out by midsummer, have it published by midsummer.
Awesome. Well, man, we're really close to wrapping up. Again, thank you for being here with me and to be the first one of this cool little online series we're doing. Anything you like to say that I did not ask?
Well, Samuel, the only thing I would say is if there's anybody out there that has this spirit that they feel they need to create, go do it. Don't wait. Just get up, get off the chair, get out of your car, look online, find an audition, get the words, study them, and do it. Just do it. Do it. Get out the door.
Wise words, man. It takes some of us a long time to learn that.
Yeah, but
and I wish somebody had told me or had the pathway for me in the beginning, man. I mean, it's a long process, especially when you're learning by yourself and like having a...
Yes, absolutely. It is a long process, a very long process. It took me a long time to be able to own what I can do. I was always capable of doing great things, but I never owned it because every time I did it, I was back to zero. I never knew how to own it. So if you get out there, you do it, you build it up in your heart and your soul and your mind, and then you get your guidance and you know what you're doing as an artist.
And start listening to yourself, which
trust yourself. Yes.
I've been very lucky, the fact that I keep good people close to me like yourself who, always inspire and motivate and remind to get up, get off your butt and create. And it's all about producing. It's just about making content. It's getting up to the plate and doing it again.
Yeah. And because it's not perfect the first time, that doesn't mean anything. It's your first time.
No, it's supposed to be terrible. Like I was talking to my son about it and he, how did you start? I'm like, I taught myself. And he kind of blown away by it. I'm like, no, really? And then all you have to do is just keep making projects. Like they're going to be terrible in the beginning. They're going to be the worst things you've ever done. You'll look back on it in 10, 15, 20 years and like,
right.
Why was that a thing for me? But that's how you learn to break things, to fix it.
That is. And if every one of you out there, you look back 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, you were crawling.
You had to learn how to walk.
Walking, and then you started, and that's basically the same evolution that you take as an artist.
Yeah. Well, thank you, man.
Thank you, Sam. It's good to see you.
Anything, you know what? We've already done it all. I appreciate it, brother. You have a good day, okay?
All right, you too, man.